The 14th of September is Self-Appreciation Day. It starts with you. So what is self-appreciation? We as humans focus more on negative thoughts rather than positive. We think about our mistakes more than we think about our successes. Mindfulness and mental fitness help us change this. Prema Smith is the CEO and founder of the Self-Appreciation Day campaign, drawing from years of experience with an extensive knowledge of mental health and mindset. Prema has always been able to see the general absence of self-love and self-care within the broader community and country. He's long felt a burning desire to neutralize the stigma around these concepts and teach to create awareness to the people of the world about the power of self-appreciation. After the tragic passing of both his best friend of 26 years and of his father in February 2018, he decided, as a testimony to his father's love, that he would found Self-Appreciation Day and a movement for the betterment of us all. Prema is an actor, director, singer, serial entrepreneur, and a sought-after presenter, having worked on numerous films and television shows, including on Channel 7 and the ABC.
Welcome to Jane Jackson Careers, a podcast that takes your career to the next level. Here's your host, Jane Jackson, author of Amazon Careers bestseller, Navigating Career Crossroads.
Now let's welcome Prema Smith to the show.
Good morning, Jane. How are you?
I'm very well, Prema, and I've been looking forward to speaking with you because you have many exciting initiatives going on at the moment, not just with your work, but also with your passion project, which is Self-Appreciation Day. But before we discuss that, as this podcast is all about careers and transitions, let's talk a little about your early days and what career you had in mind when you were a little boy.
Thank you for having me. It's a great question. I guess I always wanted to be a doctor when I was little. Having been born in Sri Lanka and then put into an orphanage when I was 3, being adopted by an Australian family, I guess I saw a TV for the first time when I was 4 years of age, and I remember being fascinated by this show called Flying Doctors. Yeah, I was fascinated by this show, and from that show, I spent my whole, I guess, right up to I was about 13, wanting to be a doctor, which made my parents think, yep, this is fantastic. Our son's going to become a doctor. Yeah, but actually, I didn't follow that academic world. Yeah, and that's what I wanted to be when I was little. But then I end up falling in love with being creative and being on the microphone and singing and performing, and fell in love with drama and fell in love being an actor and script writing, and decided that I want to pursue a career as a professional actor.
Having seen you on the stage, Prema, you're a natural on stage. You do MC work as well. And I heard you sing. You're pretty good.
Oh, thanks, Jane. Years of practice in the shower.
Well, there you go. It's always good. You've got to start somewhere, haven't you?
Yeah.
Starting in the shower is a pretty good place to be. But so did you start your career? Did you launch straight into acting, or did you take a little bit of a detour before getting into acting in a?
I did. Took a massive detour, actually. Well, I talk about being creative because we are all creative. We create our own life. We create our own experiences. We create our own ideas and emotions. We create a whole world inside of us, and so I truly believe I'm just a creator like everybody else. And I fell in love with food, and having been malnourished and not having food for 3 years of my life, when I come to this country, I was like, yes, there's abundance of this. The pantry was my favourite place. The fridge, I wanted to move my bedroom closer to the fridge.
Well, by that token, you should be as roly-poly as anything, but
fortunately, I'm touch wood, I'm not. But I started off my career. I always had the passion to be an actor, But when I was 17, I got a part-time job working as a kitchen hand in a steakhouse. And then while at school, I then progressed into being a second chef, age 16. And it was just because my sous chef at the time left. So then I went from kitchen hand to becoming a second chef. And then I was doing college, and I had aspirations to go to NIDA and become an actor. And while I was doing full-time college, my head chef, my first year of college, my head chef left. And so then I become from head chef, I'm second chef to head chef, which is very easy to do. You don't need it, it was just because all I was doing was cooking steaks and making meals and falling in love with creativity, creating menus and food. So I guess when I was at college, I was working full-time and also doing full-time college, and I was head chef of a steakhouse. And I left college and I thought to myself, well, before I become an actor, I should have a qualification. I'm already a head chef, but I don't actually have a qualification. So I decided to put my acting on hold a little bit and become a qualified chef. So then I got my qualification and I started managing a couple of restaurants. And then at age 20, I just decided, why am I managing other people's restaurants when I can just do it myself? And this man asked me, told me, this guy who little did I know was going to be one of the closest men in my life, said, hey, Prema, I'm about to sell my restaurant. Why don't you buy it? I was like, all right. I was 20 years of age. Just thought this makes sense to me. I went to the bank. It's a beautiful story. Went to the bank, asked them for a loan. They said no. They asked me what. They said, "Where's your business plan?" They said to me, "Where's your business plan?" I said, "I don't have a business plan." What is a business plan? They said, "Where's your savings?" I said, "I don't have any savings. That's why I'm coming to the bank." Anyway, I went back to this man. I said, "Hang on, listen. Give me a couple of days. I'm going to buy your restaurant by the end of the week. I'll buy your restaurant." And I told my parents, mum and dad, I'm going to buy a restaurant. And they said, "Don't be so stupid. What do you know about running a restaurant, running a business?" I said, "Well, I've been doing that for the last 5 years while doing school." And my dad's like, "Where are you going to get the money?" I was like, "Don't worry about it. I'll work it out." Anyway, I ended up going to the bank and told them I was going to buy a car. And with a personal loan, you can get anything if you tell them you get a personal loan. So I told him I was going to buy a car, and at that period, it was like 57,000 was the most amount of money I could borrow. And went to this bloke, and I said, "Here you go. There's this cash. I'll give it to you, and I'll pay you so much every month." And the funny thing is, I brought an Indian restaurant, right? Because I was adopted into a white family, I knew nothing about Indian food. I just knew I loved food. I knew they had a great personality, and I knew I looked Indian, so no one's going to argue with me. No one knows my parents are white, right? So then I said to this guy, I said, "Listen, I don't really know much about Indian food. Can you work for me for 3 months? I'll pay you a wage for you to teach me how to cook Indian food." And he did. And now this gentleman here is actually one of my mentors. He's an amazing man. He's a property developer, travels around the country doing property and owns so many different companies, and just an amazing man. So I guess, when I told my parents I'm going to buy this restaurant, I just did it. And it was amazing. I had it for 5 years. But the first year, I never knew anything about BAS, MYOB, all the paperwork side. So the first year was like, I had to learn so much. What you go to university to learn, I had to learn it, cram it in, and it was great though. It was absolutely great. And I guess that's what happened. And then age 22, I started a landscaping business. I employed heaps of people with intellectual disabilities. I believe because I had a chance in life, it's my responsibility to make sure everyone else gets a better opportunity than myself, who may be of less, in a less position spiritually, emotionally, vocationally, mentally, whatever. So I employed heaps of people with mental and physical disabilities in my restaurant. And I got to the point where my accountant said to me, "Prema, you're actually paying more wages than you are earning. You're going to have to sack some of your staff." And I'm like, "Nah, that's not going to happen." And I remember when I was like 12 years of age, I used to go door knocking and asking people if I could wash their cars and mow their lawns. And I used to make like $60 a day. So I thought to myself, well, I used to be able to do that at 12 years of age. I probably should be able to make, $500-$600 a day, going asking, knocking people's doors for mow the lawns and that. Anyway, I didn't tell my parents at the time that I was going to start this landscaping business. I just borrowed a mate's lawnmower, whippersnipper, and went door knocking. And out of 10 people, 8 people would say no, and 2 people would say yes. I'd mow their lawns. Some people would never pay me, and a lot of people wouldn't come to the door. It was so funny. Like, I'd go to people's house and say, "Hey, mate, can I mow your lawns?" And they'd be like taller, but the grass would be taller than me, and the guy'd be like, "Nah, mate, I just did it." I'm like, "What do you mean? Where? In your bathroom?" And so I did this for 3 months until I built a clientele of 40 people. And then I told my parents, Mum and Dad, I told him I'm going to start up a landscaping business. And they're like, "When are you going to have time to do a landscaping business?" And everyone's like, "What do you know about landscaping?" And both answers said, "I don't know, but I know I can make it happen." And I employed the guys. I didn't open my restaurant during the day. I just opened it for the evenings, and I ran my landscaping business during the day. And I thought I could use these intellectual disability or I shouldn't actually say that's not politically correct to say that, but abled humans to work in the landscaping business. It wasn't a good idea. Getting them to use whippersnippers and heavy machinery, it was crazy. So I decided to put them back in the restaurant and get them to help me in my restaurant during the day. And I employed kids from they were in trouble with the law and just couldn't get a job in that. And I decided to build my landscaping business using people that just couldn't get jobs. And when the community found out about what I was doing, everybody wanted me to come and do their property. So I went from doing like 40 houses a month to having 100 houses a month to having 15 commercial properties to making, $150 a day to over quoting prices. So then I didn't have to do the jobs. But that was a great success. I ended up running that business for like 3 years and ran both businesses. And then I turned 25 and I realized I had enough working 7 days a week. One of the biggest things that I learned was that having a business is really good if you don't have to work in your business every single day. Mm. And I didn't learn that and know that until I turned 25. I was like, I'm so far away from being an actor. What's happened? And I had a bit of I was with a young lady. We were together for about 8 years. And this was the tipping point. There's a lot of tipping points. And this was an amazing tipping point. It was a sad tipping point. Our relationship ended. I was 25 and she's like, "Prema, you work all the time. I never see you. I've been with you for, most of my life. Don't know if I love you anymore. I never see you. I need a husband I can have dinner with every night of the week." So that relationship ended, and that kind of triggered me to be like, you know what? That's ended. Why don't I sell both my businesses and move to Sydney and become a professional working actor and aspire to be like Kevin Hart and Will Smith? And so that's what I did. I told my parents, "Mum and Dad, I'm going to go to Sydney. I'm going to become a professional actor. I'm going to move to Hollywood. I'm going to be like Kevin Hart and Will Smith." And they're like, "Listen, we're not going to say how you're going to do that or anything because you don't listen to us and you keep proving us wrong. So go and do it." And I guess that was happening. I moved to Sydney in 2013 and I applied for an acting school where they only accept 8 students a year full time and did that for 3 years and then decided to leave school. I had 1 more year to graduate and I was like, I can't do this school stuff anymore. I need to get out in the real world. And that's what I did. The last couple of years have been very proactive. Last year was really full on. I directed my first feature film. Never directed in my life, but just had an opportunity to do it. And then we produced a couple of web series, which we got nominated for 5 awards in South Korea last year. So I flew to South Korea. Never thought that would ever happen. So it's been a really amazing time. And then I guess we've been busy right up to now. And I had a bit of I kind of cancelled all my film and TV work this year due to my father and my best friend both passed away February this year. And so I stopped all my film and TV work, and and I guess that was the birth of where Self Appreciation Day comes from.
Yeah, it's you've had such a journey and a lot of ups and downs as well, but it sounds like you have a natural entrepreneurial spirit,
Mm.
and it's like a never say die attitude. It's like if someone says I can't do it, I'll turn around and do it as well. And I
Yeah.
think because of that incredible positivity that you have, you're able to draw people into you so that they can also help you so that they can be successful and you can be successful as well. So good on you for having run two successful businesses, the restaurant and the landscaping business, and now pursuing your acting career, because you've been in a lot of incredible shows. Have a look here because we've got a list. You've been so you're an actor, you're a director, you're in Your Numbers Up, in Deadly Women, in Utility Company. You've you've directed and produced the series First World Relationships. You've worked on Channel 7, ABC. You've done work for the Leukemia Foundation as well. I mean, it's amazing. You give back a lot in addition to working as an actor. And you just touched upon something which obviously would have been very heart-wrenching and sad early in this year when you lost people who you love dearly. And now I know that, when I first met you, you were talking about Self-Appreciation Day, which sounds so interesting. And that must have been the trigger for you to think about Self-Appreciation Day. Is that right?
Yeah. I guess I'm a very spiritual type of guy. And thank you for sharing on my my whole resume.
Well, there's a lot more. There's a lot more that I could look up. I've just said the main ones here.
I guess, look, I was going to fly to LA at the beginning of this year, and then a week before I was flying to LA, I got a phone call from my best friend's mum saying that Adam passed away in his sleep. He had diabetes and had a lack of insulin, and I went into his room and found him, not alive. And so I flew back to Tasmania, and the day we were burying him, I got a phone call from my sister saying, "Hey, you need to be on the next plane to Western Australia. Dad's been put in a hospital. We don't know what's wrong." Flew to Western Australia to find out Dad had stage 4 terminal cancer, and then 8 days later he died. And it was. I got back to Sydney and I was like, wow. I got back to Sydney beginning of March. I'm like, oh my God, what's just happened? What was that last 2 weeks? What was that? And what that was is something that propelled me to take myself to the next step, because I love giving. And one of the things that I love doing when I'm not doing film and TV, and I do every single moment of my life, is I love to motivate, inspire, and empower people, teach people that they're enough and take accountability and not be a victim of your circumstances and environment and etc. And I just do a bit of a backstory. One of the things I do here all the time is 300 people could tell me very quickly on a microphone what their worst habit is or what they want to change about themselves. They can't stand up and tell me what their name is, but they're happy to tell me, what their worst habits are. But then if I ask a one-on-one or a small room full of people, what do you appreciate about yourself? Silence fills the room. And knowing this, I've always known this. I'm like, this is always something that needs to be done. And I guess after losing my father, my best friend Adam, I got back to Sydney and I couldn't have access to my brain. Something was going wrong with my brain. I couldn't remember anything. I couldn't put information in and I couldn't extract information.
Stress.
And I'm like, yeah. And I've never felt empty in my life. I've never in my whole time in my life have I ever been empty. Never. And I was like, all right, we need to do something about this. So I went to see my doctor, and this is the tipping point. This is where Self-Appreciation Day actually kicked off. And I talk about tipping point a lot. I went to see my doctor and I said, "Doctor, y'all need to give me the best psychologist in Sydney. I don't care how much he or she costs. Give me the best." I said, "I can't have one that reads out of a textbook and tells me I need to exercise and eat better. I'm an actor. I know psychology. I teach people my philosophies." And he said, "Prema, I'll send you to my psychologist." And I said, "Doctor, why are you seeing a psychologist?" And he said, "Prema, Prema, I was in the Gulf War, and the things that I saw last year, I tried to kill myself 3 times." And he started crying. I started crying, and we had this really beautiful moment. And then in the middle of that, I said to him, "Doctor, I'm thinking about starting a campaign called Self-Appreciation Day." And he's like, do this. He goes, there's not a single day. He goes, every day I come into this office, I put on this mask, and everyone turns to me with their problems, and my wife, my family, I have to be the one to help solve problems and medicate people and help people. Because there's not a day goes past I don't know what I appreciate about myself. And I said to him, all right, done. So spent 2 months with Dr. Shen, most amazing psychologist, really awesome lady. She's going to spend the rest of my life with her. She got my brain back to thinking 15 years, 10 years, 5 years, present day, allowed me to go through the grieving process with my dad, allowed me to go through the grieving process of Adam, because I didn't even get to do that. It was literally jump on the plane and, I didn't even get to emotionally say goodbye. So we went through all that, and I said to us, I'm going to start this campaign called Self-Appreciation Day, because my dad, I in that period, I spoke to consciousness, and I was trying to work out why such a strong man, how did such a strong man, why did he just go? My dad went from this strong, fit king to this just empty vessel. And I realized my dad just had one job to do, and that was to go to Sri Lanka, get this kid out of an orphanage, bring him to Australia, and give him the best 30 years of his life. And I realized that I don't share my dad's blood, but I do share my dad's love. And that's what he gave me, unconditional love. And I know the importance of appreciating yourself and the power of knowing that you're enough. I've always had in my life 99 no's, and the only one yes I had was me saying yes. So I'm like, all right, that's what my thing is to do. As a job, I'm an actor, I'm a director, but every day of my life is my dad's legacy, which was his love, and that's what self-appreciation really came around.
That's so beautiful, Prema. You made me cry now.
Sorry about that.
No, but it's because there's so much love in you, and you don't just appreciate yourself, you appreciate others so much as well.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. Everyone has that little self-limiting belief that tells them, on their little shoulder, saying to them, you're not good enough, or you're not enough, or you can't do it. But if you appreciate yourself and what you do bring to the world, even if other people can't see it, you know what you bring to the world as well. And just to express that gratitude to yourself, because you are the most important person in your life. Yes, I think this is such an important movement that you're creating. And now this Self-Appreciation Day, Prema, how does it work?
Okay, so it works like this. It was just an idea. It was just a social media thing that I was going to do, and then it manifested and grew to now it's like a social enterprise. Now I'm going to it's going to be every place in every country in the world eventually. But I guess on the day, it's the 14th of September. And the reason why I chose 14th of September is because it's 7 days before International World Peace Day. My philosophy has always been from the get-go, we'll never have world peace unless we have inner peace. And we'll never have inner peace unless we just learn to liberate our own core qualities and appreciate, have less expectation and have more gratification. To realize to want everything, to have everything is to realize you have everything. I figured let's give it 7 days. And I guess we live in a Catholic and Christian society, and I thought this would be a beautiful story to share, where God created Earth in 7 days, and on the seventh day he rested, which was International World Peace Day, right? And on the first day he created the heavens and the universe, and that, I guess, in the day is the first day when he realized he was enough to create something. I'm sure he has days of doubts.
That's so beautiful. And in 7 days' time is Self-Appreciation Day, because we're recording this on the 2nd of September. Yeah. And then on the 21st of September will be International World Peace Day.
Yeah.
And I guess that ties in very nicely. I'm still crying, by the way. What have you done to me, Prema? It really is. It's so moving, and it's so important, because many people don't appreciate themselves enough, and especially when they go through times when there's a great deal of stress, as you did at the beginning of the year, when you were saying you just couldn't remember anything, you couldn't think, you were just completely fuzzy because the stress really takes over. And then sharing the story of your doctor, who also went through post-traumatic stress disorder because of the war that he was in as well. We all need to find that strength and power within us so that we can carry on and to be able to do good for the community and for our families and for our friends and for really the world around us. So I think this is really important. Now tell us, Prema, several things. If someone wanted to get in touch with you, where would they find you?
Okay, so I'm very easy to find. It's Prema Smith, Prema Smith. Just type that into Google, and it comes up with everything. You can go onto my website. You can go
onto everywhere, we know.
Social media. PremaSmith.com. Prema Smith on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can go to selfappreciationday.com. Or you could just give me a call because my phone number is on every platform. For me, I'm open to everyone. When you give, the power of giving, you get more than you ever. I think I receive more than I ever give. Napoleon Hill once said, "Those who serve the mass gain all the riches."
Yes, that's right. You're a beautiful soul, Prema. You know what I'll do? On my show notes on janejacksoncoach.com, I'll list all of the sites and your social media handles so people can find you. And in particular, selfappreciationday.com, and have a link to that as well. And I believe that if anyone wants to follow Self Appreciation Day, you're on Instagram and you're on Twitter, so they can use that as a hashtag too.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And on Self Appreciation Day itself, the 4th of September, you're flying over to Tasmania.
That's correct. Yeah.
What's happening in Tassie?
Okay, so I wasn't originally going to throw a big campaign party because I didn't want to make it about myself or anything. I wanted to just the nation to be just thinking about it in their own time and talking about it in schools. But I decided I have to do something. Because why not? Because your daughter told me, Prema, you got to do something. I was like, okay, done. So I was like, all right. So I was going to. I thought I've got to go back to Tasmania because that's where my everything began. And depression, anxiety is so high. It's hitting 1 in 5 people at the moment, and it's only getting worse. And Tasmania is in a beautiful place, but it is a very low socioeconomic area, and there is a high level of teen suicide. And I read a quote this morning that said, if you want to change the world, go home and tell your family that you love them. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go to Tasmania. I'm going to go to my old college, which is called Don College. It's in Devonport. And we're going to throw a huge big barbecue. We're going to invite the whole of the city and the whole of Tasmania to come up to the college. And we're going to cut the ribbon. And I guess the reason I thought even more so about doing it at this college, I was going to do it at high school, but then I thought I'd do it at a college because the children there are 17 and 18. They're going into a transition world where they're still a child, but they're in an adult world. They feel like they're a child, but they're expected to act like an adult. They feel like an adult, but they get treated like a child. So they're trying to find out where their identity is. And I know the importance of how to find, we spend a whole lifetime trying to find our identity. And I know that these are the kids that are about to go into the real world, become our doctors and lawyers and politicians and our leaders, mums and dads. And it's my obligation to go there and tell the kids how amazing they are and make them take accountability by saying, hey, who do I appreciate and why? What do they appreciate about me and why? And acknowledging that and understanding that, and then asking, now I know who I appreciate and why, what that person appreciates about me and why. What do I appreciate about myself and why? And that leaves a beautiful foundation for them to take the next step to take on the world, to go and pursue their dreams. to never know what their actual purpose is, because you can be doing many different things, but the greatest thing they can be is just themselves and become the greater version of themselves every day.
That's beautiful, Prema. I really like this quote of yours. If you want to change the world, go home and tell your family you love them.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful. And I've noticed that on your website, on selfappreciationday.com, you have a series of videos where people are doing a 30-second video where they're talking about what they appreciate about themselves. So if people want to submit a video to you, how do they do that?
So they just email, they do a video, they email it on info@selfappreciationday.com, or just put it on your own social media and tag at Self-Appreciation Day and hashtag Self-Appreciation Day. The reason I wanted people to do a video is because it's so daunting doing a video of yourself, right? It's so confronting. But what's more confronting is acknowledging what you appreciate yourself. And so it's making people go a step and then to another step. And what we're actually doing is through training. What happens is when you do a video, you might do 100 videos before you're happy to submit that, right? Of what you appreciate yourself. But what you've just done is you've done 100 affirmations. Now what you've done, when you're about to push send and say, hey, I'm happy with that, you've actually had a positive light bulb moment. Your neurons in your brain are wired and fired together, and the neuro pathways of positivity has become wider in your brain. And now you've got a foundation. And what I'm trying to encourage people is every person that sends a video, does a video, that's their legacy, their own individual legacy that they're putting to the world. And what I want to do on our Instagram page is I want in 25 years' time be able to have over 1 million videos of people paying their legacy to the world web. And I guess the reason for that is because the scalpel in the right hands can save a life, whilst the scalpel in the wrong hands can take a life. It's got nothing to do about the scalpel. It's the mindset behind it. And we're constantly blaming social media for this destruction of relationships and communication and digital dementia. And no, it's not. It's just another tool. And I'm trying to teach the people to use this tool the best way possible, but to take accountability of yourself and your life first, and love who you are first.
So much passion, Prema. That's wonderful. You know what? You've given me an idea. I have a Kickstart Your Career accountability group on Facebook. It's a closed group, and where I'm currently leading everybody through a video challenge and getting everyone used to videoing themselves and talking about themselves. I'm going to get them to do a 30-second self-appreciation video and post it as well, and encourage them to put it into your Instagram.
That'd be amazing.
That would be really good, wouldn't it? Well, Prema, thank you so much. It's been so inspiring talking to you and getting to know your career journey and what a beautiful man you are.
Thank you, Jane.
And I'm so glad that I met you down at Delahide 2 weeks ago. That was really good fun when you were emceeing, because you're a very talented speaker and MC as well. And so I'll have all of your links on my show notes on janejacksoncoach.com. And happy Self-Appreciation Day on the 14th of September.
Thank you, Jane. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I love everything that you're doing. And I'm very much about vibrational frequency, and we're vibrating at the same frequency. That's why you're in my life right now.
Okay, well, I'm very glad we're vibrating around each other. Fantastic. We will talk to you again soon and find out how Self-Appreciation Day went. And I'm looking forward to you reaching your 1 million videos as well. Yeah,
thank you, Jane. And happy Friday, and have a wonderful weekend. And everybody out there, I love you, and God bless.
Thanks, Prema. Bye.
Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, look for Your Career Podcast on iTunes and leave a review. And for all the career management support you need to create your dream career, visit janejacksoncoach.com and join my Careers Academy for live career webinars, group coaching, one-on-one coaching support, as well as my online career development courses. Isn't it time you found your dream job?
You've been listening to Jane Jackson Careers. Sign up to receive regular career advice at janejacksoncoach.com.